role model for success. Are you willing? All right, please stand up for the declaration. Hands on your heart. I admire rich people. I bless rich people. I love rich people. I study rich people. And I'm going to be one of those rich people too. Turn to somebody, give them a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. You know, we're talking a lot about rich people, getting rich, being rich. And some people come up to me all the time, they go, Harv, what's with the rich thing? Like, why, you know, are you so into that? And I say, look, you know, I've been called a financial evangelist. And I take that as a compliment. Why? Because someone's got to be a proponent for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Amen, right. So, but let's talk about it because it's more than just money. So let's talk about why be rich. Number one, lifestyle. What's the word? Hey, obviously that's the most obvious one for the wonderful lifestyle that can afford you and your family. It's a nicer way to live, yes or yes? Yes. But number two is contribution. What is it? Here's my thoughts. It says this. My feeling is this, that if you have the wherewithal to be rich, it's your duty, it's your obligation to do so. Why? So that you can help people who simply do not have that wherewithal. Does that make sense to you all? Because, and I'll say this, that if you're in this room, you probably have the wherewithal. Especially you self-selected yourself to be here. If you're hearing this message, you selected yourself to be that. You understand? And here's where I came up with that, like very specifically, a good example. A while ago, I was reading in the newspaper about a woman in Africa, Tanzania to be exact, and she has a goiter problem. Do y'all know what a goiter problem? It's like when they have the big, thick neck, right? And it's a thyroid problem. And you know that problem can be completely alleviated with a 10-minute surgery, 10-minute operation, and it's gone. In Tanzania, they have a decent medical system, but it's a pay-for-play deal. In other words, you pay for your doctor or your hospitalization or whatever. This woman with this goiter problem has, and it costs, by the way, costs $31 for this 10-minute operation. She has been saving for just over 5 years. 5 years, and she has $22. Twice a week, she doesn't eat. She has a newborn child who's going to be another mouth to feed, so she's feeling that it's going to take her another 5 years to get the other $9. So you would think, for goodness sake, someone just send her the stupid $9. Problem. There are millions, what's the word? Millions. Of people in this situation. Millions. Not one, not two, not 10, not 10,000, and not hundreds of thousands. Millions in this situation. So how can you help them better? By being broke or being rich enough to be able to do something about it? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I get this all the time. I get people saying, well, you know, what about the environment? What about this? And what about they're taking all the oil and they're killing all the forest and all that? They. Yes, some of them are. You want to save the environment? Get rich, buy a few million acres and save it. You're going to have some power and control over your land. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes or no? Yes. Take responsibility is what I want to say on that. Okay, this one over here, one more here. This is critical. The third reason is for what? Who you have to become in order to create wealth. In other words, who do you have to be in character, in virtue, in traits? How big do you have to be to get rich versus, you know, being broke? And you, again, there's certain characteristics that it takes to be incredibly successful. Because what creates success? And isn't it one of the things being one of the best in your field? Yes or no? Yes, yes or no? Yes. Absolutely. Who do you have to be? What do you have to know? Who do you have to be in character to be the best at what you do in order to get paid the most? Does that make sense to you? So who do you have to become? It's a learning process. And that brings us to the next way that rich people actually think quite differently and are quite different than most other. Rich people are what? Bigger than their problems. What is it? Bigger than their problems. And most other people are what? Smaller than their problems. Smaller. And the secret, guys, I want you to hear something right now. If you will just understand and take action on this one right here, I promise you, mano a mano, heart to heart, your life will just skyrocket. It will go to a whole other level, and you'll see why in a moment. Are you ready? Yes. Listen closely. The secret to success, my friends, is not to try and avoid or get rid of your problems. The secret to success is to grow yourself so you are bigger than any problem. We got the size of you, and we got the size of your problem. And let's do a little scale here. So here we are. Here's you, and here's your problem. And we are dealing with, say, a level 5 problems. But you happen to be a level 2 person. Question, is that a big problem or a little problem? That's a big problem, right? But let's say you grow yourself to, say, be a level 8 person. Same problem. Big problem, little problem. Little problem. Now let's say you work with us and you grow yourself to be, say, a level 10 person. Big problem, little problem. No problem. It doesn't even exist in the realm of your mind as a problem. You don't see it as a problem. It's just something to take care of, yes or no? Yes. Let's test this out. How many of you have ever been in a conversation with somebody who's talking about their problem, and you go to them and you go, I don't see the problem here. Raise your hand if you ever had that happen. Everyone's had that happen. Everyone. Because at that point in time, they are smaller than their problem. So it's not about the size of the problem, it's about the size of you. There's always going to be problems, yes or yes? There's so many times in this business, and I'm sure in your business, but when you get to a higher and higher level, you know, the responsibilities become greater. The amount of money invested becomes more. You have, you know, we have 140 employees. You know, there are staff people. There's, you know, huge overheads and lots and lots of what? Quote unquote problems. And my wife says to me all the time, Harv, why did you choose such a hard business? And I go, it's not about the business. It's about me. Because if I can't handle the problems here, you think I can handle the problems there? Because problems are going to be with you all the time. True or true? And running away from them or playing small because you don't want any problems, that's crazy. Let's face it, we're going to have quote-unquote problems. But the size of those quote-unquote problems will depend on the size of us, not the problem. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like, I don't want to get into the big leagues because there's so many problems there. I just want to have a nice, simple life. Raise your hand. Be honest. Come on. More than half of you in here. How's it working so far? You still have the problems, but you're broke. That's the biggest problem of all. True or true? I figure it this way. If I'm going to have problems, I might as well get rich. All right. So I'm going to give you a little anchor. Who knows what an anchor is? An anchor is what? A trigger so you can remember something. So here's what I want you to do. From now on, every time you look at something you perceive as a major problem in your life, here's what I want you to do. Are you ready? I want you to do this. Mini me, mini me, mini me, mini me. So you can remind yourself that if that's a big problem, you must be very small right now. And you better put your attention where it belongs. What? On the problem or on you? On you. That's right, on you. And you don't give up, and you don't get taken out, and you don't bail out, and you don't say, well, this is too hard. I want to do something different. How many have ever said something like that? How many say something like that almost every day? It's not the size of the problem. Have you heard the saying, fortunately or unfortunately, you take yourself with you wherever you go? That's what my answer is to my wife. How could you choose such a hard business? It's not the business, it's moi. True or true? If it's hard, it's because I made it hard. If it's easy, because I make it easy. If it's successful, it's because I made it successful. If it's unsuccessful, it's because I made it unsuccessful. True or true? It doesn't just happen to us. So, the fact is that your wealth can only grow to the extent that you do. So the goal is to grow yourself so you can handle any problems that get in your way of creating wealth, and just as importantly, keeping your wealth once you've got it. And who knew that would be an issue? You know what? This is only reserved for certain people in this room. People who have or have had a lot of money and know that it's one complete world to make it. And it's a whole other world to keep it. True or true? That is a whole other world. And again, it's not about the it. It's about you. It's about you. And so, really, you're like a container. Say, I'm a container. And if the container is small, but the money is big, what has to happen? That's right, the money goes. The money goes. Do y'all understand that? Let me say this again. If you, the container, is small, but somehow the money is big, what has to happen? It doesn't fit. It has to go somewhere else. True or true? So you have to grow yourself so you become a big, big container so you can attract and hold money. And one of the things we do in our programs is we focus on not only growing yourself as a container, but consistently growing yourself. Because if you want raise your hand if you want your money to consistently grow. Remember, your money can only grow to the extent that you do. So if you want your money to grow, who has to grow? I do. Now you got it. Now you got it. Now you've got the root. You have to keep up with the money. Let me put it another way. Your money has kept up with you. I'll say it again. Your money has kept up with you. If your money's here, it's because you're here. Does that make any sense? If your money's here, it's because you're here. If you're here and your money's here, it's going to have to meet you. It'll always grow to the extent that you do, and always come down to the extent that you are. Raise your hand if you've ever heard stories about people who are doing really well and then they messed up in their relationships, messed up with habits or with drugs or alcohol, and what happened to their money? Always comes down to meet them. No? Yes? Your money is at the same level you are, my friends. And that's not a derogatory thing. That's to make sure you start to focus your attention where you need to. Personally, I always looked outside of myself. Once I do this marketing thing, and once I understand this real estate, and once I do this, and once I... But it wasn't about any of those things. It was about the size of me. Was I able to attract and hold and grow the money? True or true? I hope you get it. Now, so, like I said, you must grow yourself to be a big container so you can attract and hold big wealth. And here's the beautiful thing about it. If you are a big container, if you are a big person, and your intention is to have wealth, a lot of money, but right now you don't have it, guess what has to happen? What has to happen? The money has to come. Why? Because it's a universal principle. And the universal principle says that the universe abhors a vacuum and will rush in to fill any space that's created for it. And if you're a big container, but you only have a little money right now, the money has to come if that's your intention. True or true? You know, it reminds you. Good. That's good news, isn't it? You keep working on you. You're on the right track. You're on the right track here. You know, my favorite plant is the Chinese bamboo plant, along with that line. Why? Because this is a very interesting plant in that you plant the seeds and you look after the first year, there's nothing there. And you look in the second year, and there's nothing there. And you look in the third year, and there's nothing there. You say, forget it. Somehow the seeds didn't take hold. I've got no tree here. In the fourth year, there's nothing there. But in the fifth year, all of a sudden you see a little sprout. And then listen to this. In 6 weeks, how long?
6 weeks.
That plant can grow to 90 feet. 90 feet in 6 weeks. How could that be possible? Because what was it doing for 5 whole years? Growing its roots, like you guys, growing its roots, so that when it does pop, it can withstand that incredible growth. What would happen if it didn't grow those roots so deep and thick? The first big wind that comes, it's gone. How many people know people that that's happened to? Because their roots weren't dug deep enough. Do you understand? Give someone a high five and say, you're on the right track. That's why it's so imperative that you keep learning and growing. Learning and what? Growing. Because listen closely. This is very important. Because if you're not growing, you're automatically what? Dying. I'm saying it again. If you're not growing, you're what? Dying. If you're not sure that that's a scientific fact. I'm not a scientist, but ask any scientist, and any person who's involved in physics. Raise your hand if you have a plant or flower at home. If your plant's not growing, what's it doing? It's dying. Any living organism, same with us. And that's why I have a message for all you guys and all you gals who are a little, say, semi-retired or retired or a little older and going, there's nothing left to do. Just kind of play around, and that's okay. But guess what? You're going down. You're going down. If you're not growing, you're what? Dying. That's why being comfortable sucks. That's why it sucks. Because you can't stay comfortable. You can't stay stagnant. You're either going up or down. It's a dynamic universe. Yes or yes? Yes. So forget comfortable. You keep on growing. Well, I don't want to kill myself. What does that mean? I don't want to kill myself. What do you think? To grow, you have to kill yourself? No, being comfortable and stagnant, that kills you. It's not these either-or stuff, these words I don't want to kill myself. I'm never going to have time for anything. Well, why don't you create time for things you want to do and create time for business and create time for your family? I don't know how to do that. Good. Then you learn. You learn how to do that. Good or good? That's one of the other things, too. I talk about exploding money myths. You'll say, well, I'm incompetent with money. I just can't handle money. I'm not good with money. That's your reason? Well, I'm not a good piano player. But if I wanted to play piano, I'd what? Learn. Hello. We don't come out of the womb doing money. Most of us got taught. But what about taking the responsibility and accountability and going out there and learning it? Learning the field you need to learn. Learning the investments you need to learn. Learning how to do money. When people are at my seminar and they go, I'm incompetent with money. I'm just not good at it. And that's their reason? It's crazy. Learn how to do it. Good or good? Yes. Listen, no excuses. No excuses, no reasons. In our Enlightened Warrior training camp, we have a flip chart that says reasons or results. And the big one is what? Or. Reasons or results. You cannot have both. If you have a reason, you know you didn't get the result. True or true? So, the result is rich. Yes? Yes. And everything else is your story. It's just not the right time now. Thanks for sharing. That's great. You're broke. All right. Please stand up for the declaration. Hands on your heart. I am bigger than any problem. I can handle any problem. Nothing will stop me from creating wealth. Turn to somebody, give them a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. All right, this one is really, really important. Recall the process of manifestation. Say it with me. Your thoughts lead to your feelings, lead to actions, lead to results. Which one is the highlighted one? Action. How many people agree to succeed in the real world, you have to take what? Let's see if that's true. Why is that? Thoughts and feelings, are they part of the inner world or part of the outer world? Inner world, thank you. Results, part of the inner world or part of the outer world? Outer world. And therefore, action becomes the what? The bridge between the inner world and the outer world. Do you understand? So, you can think all you want about wealth and success. You can meditate. Listen, I've meditated for 25 years. But I've never been meditating there and had a bag of money drop on my head. I'm one of these unfortunate souls that actually has to do something in the real world to get any of the stuff. A lot of people are very kind and generous and wonderful, well-intentioned people. They just don't do anything. Or they don't do anything at a high enough level or take enough massive action to get anything done. They just talk about it, they think about it, they meditate it, but nothing actually happens in the physical world. And if you want physical money, you'll need to transfer into the physical realm from the mental, emotional, spiritual sides. And the way to transfer from those three invisible to the visible, from under the ground to above the ground, into the physical realm is through the process of action. True or true? That's why action is absolutely critical. Now, if that's true, what prevents us from taking the action we know we need to be taking? Fear, thank you. How many people agree that fear and doubt and worry are among our greatest obstacles, not only to success, but to happiness as well? Excellent. And therefore, one of the biggest differences between rich people and most other people is that rich people are willing to do this. What's it say? One of the other programs we teach is called the Enlightened Warrior Training. And it says that the true warrior can tame the cobra of fear. What's the key word? Tame. It doesn't say kill the cobra. It doesn't say get rid of the cobra. It doesn't say run away from the cobra. It says what? Tame the cobra of fear. Let me say this right now. My friends, listen closely. Listen closely. Are you listening? Yes. It is not necessary to try and get rid of fear in order to succeed. Rich and successful people have fear. Rich and successful people have doubts. Rich and successful people have worries. They just don't let those feelings stop them and take them out. Unsuccessful people have exactly the same feelings, but they let those feelings stop them, paralyze them into thinking, oh my God, what will happen now? And they're done. True or true? A lot of people believe that rich people don't have fear. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So, how many people agree we're creatures of habit? Yes? And therefore the secret is to practice. What's the word? Practice acting in spite of fear. Practice acting in spite of doubt. Practice acting in spite of worry. Practice acting in spite of inconvenience. Inconvenience. If your life is about convenience, you'll never be rich. Let me say this right now. It's not always convenient to do what it takes to get rich. And practice acting in spite of discomfort. It's the same thing, as I said earlier. I'm going to challenge you right now, as I do with all of my students. Are you willing? Are you willing? Yes. I want you to find uncomfortable situations.